In this video, we will see what global blocks are and how they work. To access the global blocks, we need to go to the website section and then we will find global blocks. Global blocks in practice are blocks. The blocks would be the content that we usually add to pages through the visual builder. We can see it, for example, from here. If I click on Welcome to Framework360, this is a title block that we have added to create precisely. This text, in fact, can be quickly modified by clicking on it. Through the text section on the left, by adding, for example, a colon will be added to the text. Now, blocks are all the content that we can add to a web page. For example, if I want to add a video, how can we do that? Here too, you just need to click on the video block and drag it onto the page and then add a link. As in this case precisely, it is the video that we can see here. Global blocks are simply blocks like the ones we have just seen, which can be created once and added to web pages. Every time we want, in fact, by clicking on Add, we can, for example, give it a title, for instance, global block, and then create the content we want to add to this block. We can create, for example, a title that says this is a global block. And then, for instance, we can add an image under the title by selecting media. We add, for example, happy birthday. It's an image we used in another video, but in this case, it might be useful. We click on content, for example, we can center everything at the design and center. The Design tab is the tab that manages all the settings, indeed, for the functioning of the elements or the colors of the various text fonts of the single block. Each block always has the Design tab, so once you learn how it works, we will always find it. Click on Save Global Block. Okay, our global block has been created. We can see it in the Global Block section. Here, now, when we go to modify the page, in this case, for example, this is the home page, is a default home page, indeed, created by Framework360 at the time of the environment installation. If we want to modify it, we can add a row below at the bottom, click on, drag a content. The section on the left will clearly open, and here we can search for a global block. We will find the block called global block. By dragging it. We will just need to select the global block that we previously created, and the content we decided on in the other section will be added to the page exactly as it is. In practice, as we can see, a global block is simply content that can be called upon on all pages without having to create it each time. But a global block is not just this. A global block can also be, for instance, a header or a footer, because the header would be the top part of the practice. On all websites, you can find it. We can also see it on YouTube, the header, and this part here with the burger menu, the logo, and the search. In fact, if we go to another section, such as the home page, we will always find the same header. This could be, in our case, a global block, in this case precisely if we want this global block to become the header, meaning it is an added block. At the beginning, at the top of all the pages of the website, we just need to click on Type and then click on Header. There are clearly videos on the channel dedicated to this type of functionality. But once this is done, we will find the global block we created available at the beginning of all pages. And clearly in this case, since we have also added it below, we will see it below as well. However, if we decide that this global block is not a header but a footer, we will find it, as the word itself suggests. At the bottom, in fact, at the beginning, there will no longer be the global header block, but it will be added to the bottom. Obviously, to have a global block. For a decent footer or header, we should create, for example, a divided section, perhaps in two parts, where on the left there is the logo, as we have seen on YouTube. We can see here there's the logo, and then perhaps on the right there's the menu, which could indeed be the nav bar. Let's see if we already have one created. Okay, home and about us, perfect. By saving this block and specifying that the type is header, we will see that it will be added at the beginning on all pages. With our logo and the menu we have decided on, we can obviously work on the styles, position it, perhaps to the right, etc. In this case, we see that even below, because we have selected it as a global block, meaning the header and the footer, there is no need for them to be selected within the pages, as they are added automatically. Whereas if we want this block to be just a global block, we will just need to access the page where we want to insert the content and select it, as we have seen.